Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our play. It's murder. It's murder. Another exciting mystery drama. Tonight we follow the eminent retired actor and amateur criminologist Rex A. Starr as he and his niece, the Broadway columnist Joan Adams, go to an artist colony in Maine to spend a peaceful vacation and find that death is no respecter of peaceful ambitions. It is late morning of a clear July day, and we find Rex and Joan hurrying along the quaint and colorful main street of the tiny town.
Joan, I can't persuade you to give up this fantastic idea. You don't know the first thing about sketching.
I don't have to. I'm full of inspiration. Oh, here's Jonathan Bixby's art supply store. Let's get that sketching pad and pencils. Rex, before we go in, one favor.
Two, if you'll forget you're a female Da Vinci.
Listen, if Jonathan gets off on his favorite subject, he thinks all artists are bad. Don't argue with him. I don't want to lose a minute before getting to work.
Okay.
I feel genius pounding at my temples.
I hope it doesn't give you a headache.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, good morning, Miss Adams. Mr. Starr.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Perhaps you won't be when you learn what's just happened to my niece.
Huh?
Don't pay any attention, Jonathan. Uncle Rex just doesn't understand the impulse to create beauty.
Have you got it, Miss Adams?
Powerfully. All I need is a sketching pad and pencils.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Miss Adams. I got thinking of you as different from the strangers that have sullied this respectable town. Oh, I don't hate 'em, Mr. Starr. I feel sorry for 'em. Heading for perdition. Besides, I have to make a living.
Oh, thank goodness we've come around to that. Now about the sketching pad and pencils.
Yes, all right, Miss Adams. Oh, by the way, did you print that piece I give you for your column?
Oh, for pity's sake, Jonathan, I forgot all about it.
What piece, Joan?
Oh, just a bit of scandal that Jonathan picked up.
About what?
Here's the pad and pencils, Miss Adams.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's fine.
Dad! Dad!
Well, what's the matter, Annabelle?
Oh, something terrible's happened.
Well, stop crying and tell me.
I was walking along the beach, and I came to the part that thought was deserted, and I saw an easel standing there, so I walked over. And there on the beach, his face buried in the sand, was Mark Turner.
Mark Turner, the illustrator?
Yes, he's dead. He was murdered.
Well, there's the easel, and there's Mark Turner's body. Phew, I'm glad to be on solid ground again.
I wonder how Annabelle knew that Mark had been murdered, Rex.
There must have been some evidence. And there it is.
What?
This wire around his neck.
Oh, how awful.
Now, why should anybody want to kill Mark Turner? He minded his own business.
I don't know. Oh, but I do.
What do you mean you don't, but you do?
You remember Jonathan asking me about a piece that he gave me for my column?
Yes, what's that to do with the murder?
Everything, perhaps. I'll tell you about it, and you can draw your own conclusions. First, you know that Mark married Felice Morgan about 5 years ago.
Of course. Felice used to be his secretary,
That's
and
right.
she and Mark were incurably happy.
They weren't.
What?
According to Jonathan, Felice and Mark had been on the Alps for more than a year.
I don't believe it. They were two of the most loving lovebirds I've ever seen.
An act, my dear uncle, to protect Mark's pride.
Nonsense.
Actually, Felice was madly in love with Paul Bradford, the playwright.
Now, look here, Joan. I know Paul Bradford, too, and if anything like that had been going on, I'd have seen it.
Maybe, maybe not. At any rate, Jonathan's story goes like this. Felice wanted a divorce from Mark, so she could marry Paul.
I can't believe it.
Well, Mark would have none of it, naturally. And then Felice and Paul were furious, not to mention frustrated.
Where did Jonathan pick up that fabulous yarn?
Paul told him the other night.
Paul?
He came into Jonathan's store, drunk, and said he had to talk to somebody he could trust.
Somebody you could trust, eh?
That's beside the point, Rex. Mark's been murdered. What do we do about finding the murderer?
Well, I suppose I'll have to give that fable some credence. Come on, we'll climb back into town and have a talk with the writer. No sign of him, Joan?
No, I searched the whole cottage. Paul has flown the coop.
I was hoping it wouldn't be true.
What about the garage?
Car's gone. Everything points to a quick getaway.
By this time, he must be miles away.
I don't think so. Why did Paul kill Mark Turner?
To get Felice, Mark's wife. But I told you that story.
Would he run away without calling on the fair Felice? For whose hand he'd blooded his own?
Hey, you've got something there, Uncle.
I think I have.
What are we waiting for? Her cottage is just down the street. No answer, Rex. Let's open the door and rush them.
Yes, if they're still there.
One of them's here. Look.
Where?
Over there, by the window.
Good heavens, Billy. She's dead.
Rex, is that picture wire around her neck?
Yes.
Why should Paul kill Felice, too?
I don't know. Joan, here. Read this note in the typewriter.
See. To whom it may concern. What? This is really a bad typing job.
Worst I've ever seen. Obviously done by an amateur.
Rex, this is a suicide note.
So it seems.
And it tells the whole story. Felice strangled her husband, Mark Turner, with picture wire while he was doing an oil on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
She had to get rid of him so she could marry Paul Bradford. But when she told Paul what she'd done for him, the ingrate refused to have anything to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
Felice couldn't go on living, and so she killed herself in the same way she killed Mark. Well, this solves our case, Rex.
Not quite. There's some paintings on these walls that might fascinate you.
What kind?
A woman with her face cut off.
With her face? Are you kidding? Look at those paintings. Somebody's cut off all their faces.
That's what I said, remember?
But why would anybody want to do
I
that?
don't know. I'm going to have a look around the studio. I'd like to know who the woman in those paintings is.
How do you know it's the same woman?
Look, Joan. Is that a birthmark or a slip of a brush?
It's a birthmark, Rex. It's on each picture in the same place.
Ah,
Did you find something?
only the answer, my dear. Here, this canvas is standing against the wall, evidently overlooked.
Has it got a painting on it?
Uh-huh. It's a picture of Annabelle.
Annabelle? Annabelle Bixby, Jonathan's daughter?
Correct, Joan. And that telltale birthmark hasn't moved an inch.
But I don't understand.
When we don't understand, Joan, we must look for an explanation.
Oh, where's Jonathan? I guess he must be in the back room of the store. I'll call him, Rex. Why?
Listen, there's life in the back room. Let's get closer.
There, Annabelle. Now, don't take it so hard. He wasn't your kind, anyway.
But I loved him, Dad. He loved me. I just know he did.
It would have come to no good, daughter.
How can you say that? Mark promised to marry me. He was going to divorce his wife. He was going to marry me.
He was
Get that,
lying to
Rex?
you, Annabelle.
Mark and Annabelle, of all things.
He wasn't lying to me.
for you.
He wasn't lying to me. Only yesterday he made me promise to wait for him till he got his divorce. And then he said we'd get married. We'd go to live in New York.
He was not aiming to get a divorce from his wife, and I can prove it. Paul Bradford told me all about it. Mrs. Turner wanted the divorce so she could marry Mr. Bradford, but Mr. Turner wouldn't give it to her out of spite.
That's not true, Dad.
So Mrs. Turner had to kill her husband to get rid of him. That's what happened, Annabelle.
Oh, Dad, you're not helping me at all.
Isn't she putting on a beautiful act, Rex?
Joan, we're going to the back room for the capture.
It'll be a pleasure. Imagine that Annabelle giving us a merry runaround.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, Mr. Starr. I didn't hear you come in. Annabelle and I was just having a
It
little
was touching enough to be a second act curtain. But the third act, I'm afraid, will have to be played in the sheriff's office.
The sheriff's office.
Yes, Jonathan, and before you take a bow, let me tell you your exit will be permanent.
Rex, will you sit still, please?
Oh.
Now, how can I sketch you if you keep fidgeting like a Mexican jumping bee?
When I'm restless, I fidget.
What are you so restless about?
Aren't you interested in knowing how I solved the mystery?
But you told me, Uncle Rex. Sit still. You told me that Jonathan was afraid that Mark was turning Annabelle's head. And then when he found out that Mark was using her as a model, Jonathan decided to save his daughter from that fate worse than death.
Your memory amazes me.
So, Jonathan followed Mark to the beach and strangled him. And then he went to Felice's cottage and... Rex, how did you know that Felice didn't commit suicide?
Ah, because she didn't type that note. Remember how badly typed it was?
Yes.
Well, Felice was Mark's secretary before he married her.
And Paul Bradford is a writer and also an expert
Exactly.
typist. So it couldn't have been him or Felice.
You reason well, my dear.
But how did you know Annabelle wasn't the murderer? She had the motive.
Yes, but Jonathan gave himself away when he told Annabelle that Felice had to kill Mark in order to get rid of him.
We thought that too now, didn't we?
Yes, but we were the only living people who read that fake suicide note. We and the picture wire murderer who wrote it.
Oh. Tricky, aren't you? All right, Rex. Let's get on with the sketch.
What do you expect to do with that masterpiece if you ever finish it?
Hang it up on the wall?
With picture wire, huh?
Why, Uncle Rex, you're horrid. You've just murdered the genius in me.
We invite you to join us again next week at this same time for another of our series, It's Murder. Tonight's story was written by Stedman Coles and directed by Stuart Buchanan. This is George Gunn speaking. This is the Blue Network.